Hello, Manchester. How's everyone doing? I'm Benny,
I'm Rachel.
and yes, we are back again, and we are back with a bigger and better topic. How's everyone's day been? Today, my day's been awful. I've been rushed out of my bed, this warm bed this morning, and had a magical moment in my bed. Just taking in the warmth. Had to step outside to massive rain, and it was just absolutely terrible, honestly. But I'm here and I'm happy. And Rachel, how was your?
Yeah, mine was all right. It was raining really heavily on the motorway.
Was you just smashing through the rain?
Yeah, it was annoying. But I got here about 1:45, and we've just been chatting. So what are we talking about today?
So today's topic is all based on counselling. When someone says counselling to you, Rachel, what comes into your mind?
Well,
Okay, what comes into a normal person's mind who actually doesn't know what counselling is?
well, I'm studying to be a counsellor in my final year, and there's different types of counselling depending on what type of person you are. There's CBT, there's psychodynamic, and there's person-centred. My form of counselling is person-centred, which is more this talking through your problems.
Okay.
Like you've got an organismic self, and you've got which is your true self, and you've got a
Mhm.
self-concept, which is who you think you are. And
Mhm.
you've got to kind of merge the two together. And by talking and the counsellor paraphrasing and reflecting back to the client, they move closer, they have shifts in their organismic self.
And for the viewers like me who didn't understand anything she just said, I've summed up for you.
yeah, you do that.
So in my opinion, person-centered is all about accepting who you are and your own beliefs. So it's, for example, it's your own autonomy and things. So your way of life and the way you choose to live your life is entirely up to you. Am I correct? Is that right?
Well, some people are living a life that isn't true to them, and they don't actually know. It's like if you've been brought up as you're as a young child, say you were gay,
Mhm.
but your parents denied that, and say you wanted to play with an action man,
Mhm.
but they took it off you and said no.
because you was gay.
Yeah.
Right.
So then you may grow up thinking in the back of your head you really want to play with that action man, but because you've been told that that's not correct, you could live your whole life
Yeah.
embarrassed with it in the back of your mind,
Yeah.
knowing that you're actually gay and you're living a completely different life.
Yeah.
And the result of that will be you'll be very anxious. You may get depressed,
Yeah.
or you may be okay. It's not to say that you'll manifest any illness, but you can actually be living a completely. Doctors should be artists should be doctors. It depends how you've been affected.
Okay.
Yeah, they're called introjects.
What does that mean, Rach?
An introject is something that like you think. Well, it's hard to explain an introject, but what you basically again what you perhaps think you are and what you actually are completely different. So somebody else might actually know you better than you know yourself.
Right. Yeah. So this is all words from a third-year student who has been heavily studying these absolutely maniac
Pearls of
theories
wisdom.
and pearls of wisdom and words of wisdom. So for anyone else who thinks counselling is anything completely opposite to what it actually means. For example, I remember when I was younger, I used to think people that used to go for counselling was like, they had problems with them, they wasn't normal, they needed to be helped back into life. But it generally doesn't mean that. It can mean from any form. It can mean from a small thing of losing a friend and just needed help to get back, or
It's
to
not a
massive.
doesn't have to be a long-term thing. It can be temporary.
It can definitely be temporary, and there's no timing when it comes to counselling. It's whenever you feel like it's ready. You can go to a counselling session, 2 sessions of counselling, and walk out of there a better man, a better woman.
Well, I think you need more than 2. We do a minimum of 12. I think some places do 6. Some are open-ended.
I think some places
Some are
just
free.
do it. Some places just do it just to get more money from people, because generally some people go with the smallest of things.
Well, I think
It doesn't take 12 weeks to fix a bad hair day, has it?
No, but if you're having proper counselling, I think CBT. I think that's a minimum of 6 through the NHS. The NHS normally do CBT, but I think for any Anything really. I think 6 is, me personally, I think 12 plus. If you've never been to see a counsellor before, definitely.
Would you think, it might be sound funny, would you call rehab another form of counselling?
Rehab's like when you go and, when you're addicted to a substance. That's my interpretation of it. And you go in to dry out.
Would you count that as counselling? People who go in there.
Well, I think you probably need counselling as well. It goes hand in hand to work out where the addiction stems from. There's always a reason why somebody's, drinking or taking drugs. You just don't, Do
you think counselling can help addiction such as drinking?
Oh, I've seen shifts. I've had clients. Oh, the shifts have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Once they have the light bulb moment and they have realizations, because I basically sit in front of the client, so in effect I kind of get into the pit with the client, so they're actually seeing themselves through me.
Right.
So they then start to see what they're saying, and then they're like, what am I saying?
Yeah.
That doesn't marry up. And then they go away, and throughout the week then they have realizations. It's quite spiritual as well, person-centered. So you just get light bulb moments.
Yeah.
It's magic really. Once you really get into the process of it, you can untangle. It's like spaghetti. You can start to untangle spaghetti and actually make sense, right, and put things to bed, put the past to bed, and start making choices that better suit the person that you're changing into. And you might have a lot of loss and grief because you're grieving. If you've been living a certain way all your life, and then you realise that you actually prefer, I don't know, you'd like to, like you say, you might, you want to be gay. You're going to grieve the fact that you've been living maybe with a woman or a man all your life, where really, that wasn't, you've hated that part of your life. So, there's all sorts of grief as well. It gets complicated and it's painful.
So you said that counselling can untangle things like spaghetti, right? Is there anything that you think counselling cannot untangle?
I'd like to say no, but I've delved a tiny little bit into schizophrenia, and you've got an assignment, or we were looking into doing an assignment, and I wonder whether therapy would ever help somebody with schizophrenia. I can't say yes or no. But when I looked about what from a Carl Rogers point of view, and I probably got it all wrong, but it's like you've got an organismic self, which is your true self. You've got your self-concept, which is who you think you are. But apparently, when somebody becomes schizophrenic, the actual self-concept becomes fragmented and breaks up. So it's, it would take an awful lot of therapy to actually get back to the self-concept, because, with any psychosis, you've actually lost touch with reality.
So what does schizophrenic mean? What's the definition of schizophrenic?
Oh, it's a psychosis, like you're out of touch with reality, you dip in and out of reality.
Is it like a continuous battle with everyday life reality?
Well, once you're schizophrenic, you need, a medication, to balance it. Depends how severe the schizophrenia. Yeah, you can get different forms. There's like neurosis, which is like anxiety, depression, and there's psychosis, which is, things like schizophrenia.
So, how come as a counsellor for yourself, why would you say that counselling wouldn't really work for people with schizophrenia?
Oh no, I'm not saying either way. I don't know, but if somebody's out of touch with reality, to pull them back to reality and keep them in that reality, if they have medication and then work with them, yeah, possibly. I've just not had a lot of experience, and I think it's it would be an interesting topic, or someone doing a PhD or whatever. But that's just one of the things that I kind of wonder, whether you could actually, get somebody back from being a, paranoid schizophrenic to being a healthy functioning. It'd be, I wouldn't mind exploring that topic.
Okay, quick scenario for you. You're the counsellor, so what would you like to be called? Dr. H.
Yeah, Dr. H.
Dr. H. Quick scenario. So I am a 32-year-old Pakistani man,
Right.
and I'm about to have my arranged marriage
Right.
with this lovely lady, but I've
Yeah.
fallen in love with her sister.
Right.
And through culture and religion, we cannot cheat nor do anything against the culture's rules. As a counsellor coming to you, I need help. How could you help me?
Well, my form of counselling doesn't give advice. So depending, if you had my form of therapy, you would just talk
So
and
let's act this out.
Okay.
So just talk, you say, yeah? And this is person-centered therapy. Right, so hi.
hi.
I've got a problem that I need help with.
Okay, so
I'm 32 years old. I own butchers on Cheetham Hill. And I've just been married to a lovely lady. My problem is I have fallen in love with her sister, and she was the woman that I wanted to marry originally, but I couldn't. And it's very tempting to go to the other side and cheat, but I know I can't do that. What can I do?
So you've recently become married.
Yes.
You have a property. You have a business on Cheetham Hill Road of Butchers.
Yes.
You've married a lady,
Yes.
and your feelings are towards her sister.
Yes.
But at the time, you weren't able to make advances
No.
towards the sister, and
Couldn't.
you've married.
Yes.
You've married her sister.
Yes. I mean, if I had to say, it could have went differently, but because it was arranged, I couldn't.
So you've had an arranged marriage.
Yes.
And you seem quite distressed.
In a sort, yes. I mean, I can't complain with what I've been given, but it's not someone that I want. She does everything. She cooks, she cleans, she looks after me very well.
So she looks after you. She provides.
Yes.
A lovely home.
Yes.
But I'm feeling you're not. She doesn't satisfy a deeper part of yourself. Is that?
Not all the way, no. But she covers all.
So she kind of, all the society kind of way of being, nice home,
Yeah.
nice family life.
Very well mannered.
So you're saying you, on the face of it, it looks like you have a perfect marriage,
Definitely.
but you're not feeling a deeper connection.
No.
Is that?
There's no connection.
That what you're saying?
There's no deeper connection.
And it's the arranged marriage that I'm sensing that you've felt perhaps forced because of the way society.
Yeah, because of my age, it was a little late. My parents was getting a bit too worried about me.
Right. So you felt pressurised.
Yeah. I was all about trying to just get my business up and running and have a stable life, and then the whole marriage situation came along. So I was, I could say, forced to marry her.
So you felt very much under pressure because your parents were wanting you to settle down. You wanted to make them feel proud, or you wanted to satisfy that part of them.
Yeah.
So you're very much catering towards other people's needs.
Yeah, definitely.
To make them happy.
Definitely, yeah.
So we'll just stop there. So that's that is an example, or just a brief, and it wasn't perfect because Benny's actually a black guy who's 19.
I was trying to study deep into the Asian culture,
but it was very, as I said, I didn't give any advice. I listened, I paraphrased and reflected back. I saw at one point he was looking a bit like anxious and a bit distressed, so I picked up on that's called immediacy, when you pick up on little nuances and body language.
Yeah.
And so, you know, from that point of view, Benny, you know, had he been a Pakistani man, you know, we'd have had, like, you know, and I like you say, it would, you know, something like that would take, you know, quite a number of sessions, because he's got to work through his, you know, conforming in his culture versus his own truth about how he wants, you know, who he wants to be with, who wants to, you know, who makes him happy. And
although it was acted as someone who went to get counselling, it felt really good to actually speak to someone and tell the truth and just let loose. Things like that can also ease depression, ease stress, when you can actually speak to people. And I know there's many people out there that goes through these scenarios daily. Many people out there. So I would strongly advise you to reach some sort of therapy, some sort of counselling.
Yeah, don't, you know, get to a point in your life where you realise that, you know, life is... I mean, we don't know that people believe in reincarnation, but at the moment, you know, every single person on the earth can only say that we have one life. And if, you know, if you're living it as a, not fake, but if you're living with facades and things that are not how you want them to be, don't carry on. Have the strength to trust that, you know, you can change. All right, it might be catastrophic, but in the long run, you're going to be a more the outcome. Yeah, you can't look short term; it's long term.
Yeah, it's all about the long term. You don't want to get into something and it's short term, and it's just not worth it. Absolutely not worth it. So definitely strike for the best. Do what you know would help you,
and get a support group of people around you as well who are like minded, who, you know, are very open. And
it doesn't have to be friends, because sometimes people don't really like to open up to friends, because those friends, they know their family, and then the family knows their background. It's just all very messy, like an entangled bunch of spaghettis. So it doesn't have to be friends, but just get a group of people that you know you can go to and speak to. Yeah,
you can. There's groups, you know, you can Google. There's, you know, there's
community centres.
I just feel every
groups.
Single problem. You know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There'll be some sort of organisation or place you can go that other people, I can guarantee there'll be other people who are going through exactly the same thing.
Definitely.
You're
not there alone.
Yeah. If you followed society and you no longer want to follow society, but you're frightened, you know, reach out. You know, there are free counselling centres. There are phone numbers that you can ring. You know, there's absolutely a lot of support. I mean, but if you have got the money to pay for a counsellor, you know, just Google counsellors in your area. Definitely. You know, and don't worry as well. The difficulty is with a counsellor, you don't always find the right one on your first attempt. Yeah. Everybody, you have to, you know, try a few, because depending on, you know, what you're going through and the level of the counsellor, they may not, you know, be the right counsellor. So, you know, don't give up at the first hurdle. Keep trying and keep trying.
I mean, the whole point of this is for us to let you know that you are not alone. You don't have to go through this alone. You know, there's always a helping hand and an ear to listen. So definitely approach counselling, my strongest. And after the break, we're going to have a short break. After the break, we'll be able to come back and give you guys some numbers, some contact details that you guys will be able to contact in order to help you find the right help you need.
Okay, so there's some organisations just off the top of my head that you could contact. One's called Mind in Manchester. I'm not sure whether this is correct, but it's 0161 769 5732. Again, that's 0161 769 5732. There's also a centre in Lee, that's called the Well Women Centre. That's for women only. And that number's 01942 681 411. And I believe there's some counselling sessions in Bolton as well. That's 07932 305 994. Again, that's 07932 305 994. And that's basically all I've done, is basically just Googled a few. So,
Feel free to Google anything. You can Google counselling for couples if you're having troubles in your relationships and your marriage. You can do counselling for teenagers if you're struggling as a teenager to cope in this grey sky world. There's counselling for women, for elderlies, for depression. Counselling can cover practically anything.
There's a Beacon Counselling as well. I don't know their number, but you can Google the Beacon Counselling. That's in Bolton, but there's loads in Manchester. So, no matter who you are, what you're struggling with,
what your problem is,
don't feel that you have to, you have to keep the burden going forever and a day, because it's not. We're in a society now where we should be more adaptive to people's requirements as human beings.
Now the cost of counselling, I can understand some people feel like, why should I pay someone to listen to all my problem, or why is it so expensive? But when you do actually think of the help you're getting mentally to help you get stabled, I don't think anyone can do that for free in a sense.
No, it's like
doctors don't do their work for free. GPs don't do their work for free. Firemen, police, they don't work for free. Same as a counsellor, they're all there to help you. I'm training to be a counsellor.
Well, I think it's a bit about self-love as well. People say, I want help for free. It's like, well, like you said, doctors, all right, the NHS is free. But if these places,
the doctors from the NHS gets paid to do their job.
Yeah, exactly. So even if you go to a place where it's free to have the counselling, make a donation. If you're getting value out of it, definitely tithe. You've always got to pay. I don't think anything's free in this world.
I don't think anything is free. I think if
but if you're desperate, then by all means, there's going to be a proportion of society that really struggle financially.
Yeah.
But if you're not struggling financially, definitely pay. Yeah.
Another one, if you are struggling financially, I think a counsellor would be great to help you get back into life, because some people do just have this spendaholic moment of their lifestyle where they just don't know how to control their money, and Rachel's rubbing her eyes because I'm sure she's one of them. So am I. Counselling does honestly cover every part.
I think so. Your body, mind, and your soul.
Have you been counselling before?
Yeah, I've had counselling before. I'd like to have counselling now because I've got clients. And I just feel like I have a supervisor, right. So I talk about my clients, and I can also talk about my own stuff, but I wouldn't mind having counselling, because I feel like, there's always something with me, because I'm always very proactive and I always want to shift and change and, get as close to I can to my organismic self. I just see the benefit of, I wouldn't, obviously, with me now, there's certain points of, I no longer need counselling in certain areas. Yeah. I've processed it, worked through it, and it no longer bothers me. But anything that does bother you, I feel I've got one thing that's bothering me at the moment that I'd like to, and then once I work through that, then, I'll leave it alone for a bit. So I just think you're dipping in and out of it depending on where you're at. Some people are blissfully happy and don't need it. So it's...
And with confidentiality, with counselling, how important is confidentiality?
Well, you don't want people, everything's, you don't want any files, everything's encrypted. You can't discuss clients with, anybody. It is confidential. What goes on in that counselling room is between you and the client.
So say, for example, if I go counselling now and I told them my whole life story, and then 2 weeks later I become absolutely famous, and that counsellor has a choice to make £2 million by just selling my details or go
No, it's regulated.
Debt.
It's all very much regulated by the BACP, so you wouldn't be allowed to...
What does BACP mean?
That's the governing body.
Can I guess what it means?
BACP. If you are going to find a counsellor, make sure they are in the BACP, because they're bound by the ethical framework. So it's not, you can't go to, or even if so when I was training, I made notes, but you don't reference the client at all. Okay. So, if somebody broke into the premises, they wouldn't know who those notes related to. There is no...
I would like to become a counsellor. I am currently studying it also. I'm on my first year. Thanks, Rachel. It was absolutely it is a very daunting course. I think the scary part about this course is the fact that you find out more about yourself than you do about what you're learning. So, once you're learning it, that's what you start to discover about yourself. So it's helping me as a person to get a lot more stable on this ground. And I've decided I would like to become a counsellor, and I would like to have my own business, and I'll be called Dr. Love because it'll be based on relationship and love. Dr. Love. Well, I was going to call it Dr. London before, but I don't think I'll be living in London, you know. We left the EU, so, you know, Brexit out of London. So yeah, Dr. Love is a bit like Dr. Miami. Those who don't know Dr. Miami he's a very absolutely famous surgeon in Miami that is just totally rich by just fixing celebrities. So I'll be Dr. Love, which I'll be fixing normal people. Yeah. So that's me. What have you got any plans with counselling?
I don't know. I'm just going to go with the flow with it. I work with clients at the moment. When I graduate, I'll always counsel. Always, I love it. I see the shifts. I know my form of counselling works. You know, CBT's great. It depends what, you know. For me, yeah, I don't know whether I'll set my own business up because it's the whole business aspect. It's very
daunting sometimes.
Yeah, you've got to comply.
Quick question, Rachel. You might get in trouble for saying this. I hope your boss is not listening. Have you ever in a counselling session got faced with a very funny situation that you just felt like obviously just bursted, but you couldn't? Has that ever happened to you?
No, because you've got to take it really seriously.
She says whilst laughing her head off.
You've got to be empathetic and have, you know, non-judgmental. You can't do anything that slightly jars the client. No, I take it really, really seriously. To be honest, I don't think there'd be anything that would shock me. You know, I just want people to get healthy.
And how do you separate that from your personal life? How do you manage to put a block between when you're at work and when you're, because the Rachel I know, you find it hard to hold your laughs in. You let it out.
I think if you're the type of person that gets affected by other people's emotions, then it'd be very hard to be a counsellor. But that person's opposite you is, I mean, there's boundaries. I'm just paraphrasing and reflecting back. I'm not actually, all right, you get like in the pit with them and you work through things with them, but they're them and you are you. And if you start kind of merging the two, that's when you're not actually using your techniques properly. They shouldn't. I mean, there will be things like child abuse. I've actually had child abuse where I really struggled, really struggled because you're very powerless to do anything, and it was happening and nobody was helping in the situation,
and you got affected by that.
Yeah, I think anybody would get affected, so you have to kind of talk, go and see your supervisor, talk through your feelings, but I think apart from that, there will be things that come up, of course, but apart from that, with my clients, I don't take. If sometimes I feel like I've rescued them because you always question your own techniques, then I talk it through. Why did I behave that way, or could I have handled it better? But then you take it as it's a learning curve, and you don't beat yourself up. You go, oh, I should have done that. I should have done it that way, and it's like I'll do it better next time. So
you know what? In that case, I think Dr. Love might be on hold because I just laugh at anything. To be honest with you, I struggle to hold my laughs in, and I can laugh anywhere, anytime, in any place. Like sometimes I laugh. Say for example, if I'm in pain. Say for example, I drop on the floor and it hurts, and I know it's painful. I will just start laughing because maybe it's because I find that the yellow in every black.
Yeah, but I do. I mean, if somebody like trips and like falls, I'll be the first. I'll just crack. If it is funny, I will crack up laughing, and then I'll run over and go, "You're all right." But I'm like in fits of hysterical laughter because it was so funny.
And that's quite
but
dangerous.
if they're not, if they've hurt themselves, they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," But your natural reaction is to Yeah, laugh.
That is quite nice. I used to always get in trouble in school. Always get in trouble in
Laughing.
school, just for laughing. You know, a teacher would try to write on the whiteboard, and the ink runs out, and the sound it makes, and I just start bursting laughing, and he would turn around and would send me out of the class, and I end up missing the English lesson. Do you know what I mean? So that was part of the package that comes with Benny. So if you're ever around me and you see me laughing at the most stupid of things, don't be offended, because it's just me. It's just me. And we have a great laugh as well, don't we, Rachel?
Yeah.
Honestly, we do.
But anyway, that's counselling.
That was cancer. The main thing I want you guys to walk away with today, well, to tune out with today, is you're not alone. There's always a voice that can help and an ear to listen.